does the judge or does the system practice what they preach and give true meaning to the words equal justice under law, that phrase that appears on the top of the U.S. Supreme Court building and most other federal and state courthouses? Well, a few years ago, and we are obligated under the ADA and to give true meaning to equal justice under law to we are not to be excusing people or screening people out with disabilities to serve on juries. Well, we were selecting a jury, and it was going to be an 8 to 10 day civil case with a lot of documents, a lot of exhibits, and one of the potential jurors that we were questioning was a woman who was totally blind. And so, to the credit of the lawyers, maybe they would have made the same decision, but the questioning is all done, and now they're going to start striking jurors. The fancy ways is their peremptory strikes, but they can strike certain jurors without giving any reason. I called the lawyers up to the bench and I said, I'm assuming, counsel, you won't be excusing the woman who's totally blind. And maybe they would have anyway. She sat on the jury, and the only instructions or agreement I had with the attorneys outside the presence of the jury was, well, as you put exhibits up on the screen, let's just make sure that the witness explains the exhibit that's up on the screen. Well, the trial went as expected. The verdict came out as it should have. And then I do what most state and federal judges do. They meet with the jurors after in the privacy of your chambers. The foreperson said, Judge, we couldn't believe that you left that woman who was totally blind on the jury. That was what we felt the first day of trial. We were so wrong. We had no idea, Judge, that we were carrying around these stereotypes and assumptions about people who are blind. And then I want to give you a direct quote because I still remember it as if it happened yesterday. Judge, she saw things we didn't see. We were a better jury with her and without her. She's changed how we won't continue living our lives day to day on these stereotypes and assumptions. And so I think that, again, it's just a prime example of why inclusion is so important, whether we're talking about working together, whether we're talking about things like the Homestead Plan, whether we're talking about transportation, whether we're talking about activities, working together, playing together, crying together. I've oftentimes have civic organizations come in, and honestly speaking, whether it's been students with disabilities or older adults with disabilities who come in and we have kind of a civics afternoon or hour or two, they always have the best, they always say the best things. When I said what's most important to you as rights as human beings, if you didn't know better, you'd think they'd read the United Nations Declaration of Humanity, because they'll say, Judge, we want to live with our friends and family like you do. We don't want to have to move away. Judge, we want a job where we can use our brain. Judge, we want to believe when we're the victim of abuse or harassment. And I could go on like that. And so it's like, that's why I'm always taught more by individuals with disabilities and their friends and family than they teach me.